As he sat in a police cruiser that rolled smoothly through the suburban streets of Telsarin, Rahel found himself feeling a little self-conscious. There were times when he wished that an Asai's sense of spatial awareness could penetrate solid objects. Any other keeper would be able to look out a window and see what was going on outside the car, but Rahel sensed only a flat pane of glass. The telepath could be walking up the sidewalk, and he would never know. Rahel sat with hands on his knees at the dashboard in front of him.
"We're never going to find him this way,"
he said, shaking his head.
"You know we're out of ideas when we start randomly patrolling the streets."
Next to him, Cassiara had her hands folded over her stomach. She almost seemed nervous, which was very unlike her.
"Well, at the very least, we're providing the community with a sense of security,"
she replied.
"They see we're out here. They know we're working on this case."
"Leyrians,"
Rahel muttered.
"I beg your pardon?"
He threw himself back against the seat cushion, a lazy smile spreading despite his efforts to suppress it.
"I often forget how much faith you put in your institutions. You expect people to look out a window and feel reassured when they see a police car."
Cassie looked over her shoulder, frowning at him with brows drawn together.
"What else would they feel?"
she asked.
"We're here to protect them, aren't we?"
Back home, the police were more about enforcing the status quo,"
he explained.
"If you happen to have a problem with the status quo, or if you happen to belong to a group that society deemed unruly, the police were not your friend."
"Then what made you pursue a career in law enforcement?"
He shrugged. Turning away from him and peering through her window, Cassiara murmured her displeasure. Well, let her judge him if she wanted. Rahel had joined the Keepers because he had believed in them. His people often spoke of Leyrian society as an unrealistic and unsustainable pipe dream, a world where everyone was equal. That could never work. To Rahel, however, those stories had always been appealing. Fabled Leyria, the land of his enemies, was a place where he would be judged by his achievements, not the circumstances of his birth. The Justice Keepers, as guardians of that society, had been everything he ever dreamed of being as a young boy. For years, Rahel had the Keepers on a pedestal. That all changed when he began to suspect Slade's treachery. For many long months, he told himself that he was imagining things, jumping at shadows. But something broke inside of him when his suspicions were confirmed. And it had been Anna who confirmed them. Strange that he didn't resent her for that.
"See anything?"
he asked. Cassie glanced in his direction, then shook her head.
"No, you're right. This is pointless."
"Well, when you've exhausted all other options, you may as well go with something pointless."
Hiding a smile behind the tips of her fingers, Cassie shut her eyes.
"That's true. And at least it gives me a chance to get to know you."
He blushed. Cassiara must have noticed because she immediately put her hand on his arm and leaned in close to say,
"I'm sorry. I just mean that you seem to have lived an interesting life, and maybe you could tell me about it sometime."
He felt his lips curl into a small smile, and the heat in his cheeks intensified.
Sure, I'd like that. Maybe when all this craziness is over."
"Yeah, that'd be good."